Kia ora and welcome to our first Industry Insights of 2025. I'm Chloe. I am the Regional Events Lead at the NZIOB, and I am here to introduce Kirsten, Brent, and Mike, who are going to be talking to us today about marketing ourselves, our business, and our services. I'm going to hand over to Kirsten, who's going to be your host today.
Kia ora everybody, I'm Kirsten Magnuson. I'm Deputy Chair of the NZIOB National Board. I've been working in building and construction for more than 20 years, and over that time I've marketed some pretty diverse products from aggregate, steel, concrete, urban development, social housing. I love what I do and I live and breathe marketing. And with me here today, I've got Brent Briggs and Mike Olds, who I think feel the same way about marketing as I do. So Brent, do you want to give us a quick intro about your background and then hand over to Mike to do the same?
Will do. Thanks, Kirsten. And thanks, Chloe, for the introduction. Look, my name is Brent. I work for Hirepool. I've been with Hirepool for about 12 years. I started off as a sales rep. I was sales manager in our northern region for about a decade. And in the last year, I've taken on a partnerships role nationwide. And I'm talking to you from a very sunny Hawke's Bay today.
Thanks, Brent. Right.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks, Chloe. Thanks, Kirst. Briggsy, as always, it's a pleasure. I've been involved in the Rockcoat business as it started some 35 years ago, believe it or not. So I had a milestone the other day that I got reminded of via a social media platform, LinkedIn, of the tenure. So from everything from the startup in the business, from the manufacturing, through the technical development, through the marketing, this has pretty much been my life in terms of the construction sector, and been through the ups and the downs of the industry over the years, and yeah, loving every minute of it. And what we're going to be talking about today certainly is one of the new challenges for our business in the modern era, getting the industry to be aware of what we're doing in a now sense. So yeah, so that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Awesome, thanks, Mike. So we've got 45 minutes today, and over that time, I'm going to talk about marketing yourself, your business, and your services. First cab off the rank, we want to talk about building an online presence. So, Mike, can we start with you? Can we talk about the benefits of doing this from a company perspective?
If you're not online, you're not seen. Full stop. These days, pretty much. The idea, I mean, the evolution of marketing, because of the internet era, has been immense. And if you don't have a presence in this space, once again, you're not seen. And it's incredibly important to have, and what we'll talk about a little bit further is just around some of the strategies and some of the platforms that businesses can be engaged in. It's a challenge. It's a challenge in terms of keeping up, because I have a couple of teenage lads and they are showing me things that I didn't even know existed. And we start to flow in for what some of these kids do these days, and what they're looking at, and the technology that they've got available to them. It's incredibly difficult to keep up, and not every business has the ability to have external sources creating content and putting things together for their businesses. So and I think in a lot of businesses, and a lot of business we'll be talking to today in this session, we'll be in this position where it's almost it's a part-time role, where people do it in the evenings, or they're doing it for an hour in the morning, and then they won't do something for another couple of weeks or something like that, and so they're not maximizing what they can actually achieve. But like I said, in a nutshell, if you're not online and have a social media presence in the market, then you're just not seen. So it's incredibly important.
Thanks, Mike. Brent, can you talk to us about some of the key platforms that you're using for your social media or for your online presence?
Yeah, so we and I agree with Mike there. Brochures in some way, form are dead. Hirepool, we are bricks and mortar type of company, but you have to have that online presence because the majority of our customers are online and it is 24/7. The key platforms that we use, other than our web address, would be Facebook. That's our sort of stock standard to get out there. Doing a lot more with Instagram now. More people are on Instagram. That captures the majority of our demographics. And we do organic type of content, and we do sort of work with influencers as well. You know, having our products being used in the real form is really beneficial. We're dipping our toes in the murky waters of TikTok. So yeah, we're just sort of testing that thing more for shorter form content for that younger demographic. And, you know, especially with the work that NZIOB does with Next Gen, that those younger professionals are starting to come through, and that's the platform that they prefer. And we probably use LinkedIn for more of the, you know, B2B type of business, the big tier 1 or corporate level. So we have to be, you know, in a fishing term, we're at all levels across the sort of platforms there.
Yeah, Mike, a couple of days ago, you were saying about how you've got certain strategies for different platforms, haven't you? Where you've got certain content. Do you want to talk to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the biggest one, obviously, for the majority of the society would be Facebook. That was probably one of the first big social media platforms available. So we have a Facebook. So we have 3 platforms, dominant platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And our strategy with, because our business at Resene Construction Systems is not a retail space. So we're slightly different to a parent company in terms of the paint side of the business, which is a retail space. And their content is phenomenal in terms of what they put out there. On our side of it, we treat Facebook is very much about what's happening with contractors around the country, what projects are underway, some neat things that are just happening. So it's very now and very current. Then we go into our Instagram, which is more inspiration. So it's about finished projects and inspiring people, because on the Insta it's a flick and it's a flick and it's a flick, and you have a look at new images and list a little bit of video content and things like that. So it crosses over not just in static imagery, but also you have the ability for video and everything like that. And the LinkedIn, very much like Rigsy, that is very much our B2B. So that's keeping our specifiers, our builder clients, and certainly some of our general business clients up to date with where we're at and some of the new tech that's coming through. All right, so it could be some of the latest testing that we've done at a more technical level as well, rather than the more social, inspirational stuff. You know, some of the posts certainly cross over, but that's how we sort of broadly change the content that goes into each of those different platforms. So very much, if you look at our Instagram, it's very much finished projects, and we do. I think one of the key things around the social media is that we try to get guilt by association. Like, we always try to link in the architect, the builder, the contractor, the colors. We try to get as many linkages as we possibly can on all of those different platforms, so that everyone gets an appreciation, would be pretty more of a word, or guilt by association, which is pretty cool. And hopefully what we put up there, they enjoy and they see, and then they share that, so it starts to build and hopefully get some more connections and things like that.
Yeah. Have you got any tips that you can offer the group on how to create engaging content? How are you guys at Resene Construction Systems creating your content?
It's one of the biggest challenges, because as much as I mean, we have projects nationally, and there's some pretty amazing stuff, and it gets to a point. I keep a list, because I go through, so every warranty that comes through our business, and there are thousands of them, I see all the images that we take, that our representatives around the country take on site. So I get to sort of see projects that have potential. So I keep a list, projects to go back and take photos of in 2 years, because by then the landscaping's done and all that sort of stuff. So I send that list back out to the reps every year, say, please do a drive-by, have a look at it. So see if we can get some professional photographs or arrange that sort of stuff. And that is honestly the hardest bit, is the content. And thinking, because we're in the business, what we think is normal may be really amazing to those outside of the business. So we have to separate ourselves and try and identify things that this is really common to us, but is uncommon to everyone else out in the world. So that's one of the challenges. And then also putting that content together. So certainly my friends at ChatGPT and the AI certainly help around some of the writing of some of the content, be fair to say. And I think if you're not doing that, you can save yourself a heck of a lot of time in terms of putting some content together and what they can create for you. But it is one of the biggest challenges, is getting really consistent messaging and new content there. It's never going to be, I think you need to accept that it's the information you put out there is not going to be up everyone's alley, but it needs to be consistent. There needs to be consistent messaging on each of your platforms on a regular basis. And I'd be the first to admit that I'd love to have something up there every week on each different platform. Sometimes it's just not possible, you know. But what you do put up there needs to keep grabbing people, and they'll keep coming back no matter what you put up there.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea for product manufacturers to use their warranty systems. That's a really good tip. Rigsy, what about you? Because you're sort of at the other end of the pipeline. How do you find your content and create it?
Yeah, well, I think number one is you've got to be authentic. You know, we have a term around here. We're not interested in brand slapping, you know, just whacking a Hypal logo onto something just to be there. You know, we don't build anything. We don't, there's some amazing projects that use Hypal equipment up and down the country. And as Mike was saying before, you know, you get there at the start and it's a big hole in the ground, and by your finish, you wouldn't even know what's actually going on. So I think being authentic, showcasing that, and sometimes the customers' projects, they've got their own journeys that they like to portray. So we like to be sort of, you know, we share content with them. I think a big thing also, and the internet police are straight onto you, if they see unsafe or unsavory type of content, they're straight onto you, you know, especially when the health and safety field. So we have to monitor that quite a bit. We don't want people utilizing our machines or our equipment in an unsafe manner. So sometimes we have to say, no, we can't share that. And I've done a lot with Jono and Ben way back in the day, and some of the things that they wanted to do, we had to literally say, no, we're not going to be doing that. But yeah, and I like stuff that's sort of organic, you know, you don't want to see it forced. So there's a mixture of, you want informative, like what Mike was saying. People need to see the specifications of a certain tool or large equipment or stuff. But then, you know, we don't want to take ourselves too seriously as well, too, you know. So, you know, to have a bit of a laugh and see some enjoyable content that is not forced. And yeah, that's important to us. You know, we don't see ourselves as too serious. The construction industry is a great industry, and you know, the customers that Mike sort of deals with may not be the exact same customers that we deal with, but we're all in the same field.
I really like that you've been really authentic to your tone of voice, to your brand. You know, like Mike was saying, just keeping that consistency of the messaging there across everything.
Yeah, well, we've been around for 60 plus years, and you know, we've got 72 locations nationwide. So if it's very easy to you know, get spread away and the message gets lost. So, you know, sometimes we have to remain on point, and you know, what's our goal? What are we trying to get across here? Is it just making noise for the sake of noise, or you have to be quite determined about it? Just throwing stuff out there into the world web can be pointless.
Yeah. Absolutely
Yeah.
correct. All right. Well, we can come back to that if we get any more time, but let's shift into the next category, which is around networking and how we can use networking to grow our brand. Let's talk about face-to-face networking and industry events. I know you both do a lot of these. Let's start with you, Mike. Let's talk about, you talked the other day about how your strategy behind industry events was so important. Let's start there.
Yeah, they're incredibly important, and we changed a few years ago, because once again we're not in just that retail space. We don't sell our products out the door. They only go to registered contractors that are capable of applying the products. Would be fair, because we're in terms of facade systems or cladding systems and general construction systems. So they need quite a high level of qual. So we moved away from doing home shows a number of years ago from the construction side of the business, and the biggest type home show event that we would do would be the Build NZ in Auckland. Would be probably one of the biggest ones, where it's a big face-to-face, but also the other events that we tend to get face-to-face is through CMS, the Construct Road shows, the Design Experience events, the NZIOB events. We work with New Zealand Institute of Building Surveyors. There's a number of industry groups that we connect with in a physical sense, which is incredibly important. So it gets our people in a regional basis into those events, but also connects with the locals in each of those regions. You can't just be on a screen, and people, I think the key word you said before was authentic. People need to, there's a lot of distrust in the world these days, and particularly around what they see and hear on from the internet and from social media and stuff. So to have that physical connection at events where you can interact, but equally they're events that hold greater value in terms of the content that they provide. So they need to have a value. And I know you've got with NZIOB, we've got Digicom coming up, which is going to be a great event for the industry to connect and discuss, because we've generally all got the same issues that we want to talk about, and frustrations, and learn how we can do things better, because there's some little tips and tricks that people have, but we're not big at sharing them, because we almost consider it our personal IP, and if I tell them, that might give them an advantage. However, if enough people change and do things well, it's got to be better for the industry. It's not top secret stuff. There's certainly intellectual property in certain things, but in terms of some of the general dealings that happen on a daily, weekly, annual basis, there's some really straightforward solutions that could be made available to many. So I think these physical interactions and those discussions you have is incredibly important. I was just talking with a client the other day on the phone, and it got to a point there was emails bouncing back and forwards, and I actually was like, we just need to have a chat. And then we had this chat, and it was dealt with within 10 minutes. And a relationship had started to build and form and things like that. So I think they're incredibly important, the physical interactions and the events around the country, and they need to be participated and attended. Rigsy, myself, we go to events at a high level, so when people see us there, we're taking it seriously at a company perspective, and sending very good people, very knowledgeable people to these events to connect and communicate with those that are attending. And so it's really important for when these events are put forward to memberships or to the sector, that they actually turn up. But it's not just to turn up for a cupcake and a free beer. It's to turn up and actually learn and engage with the industry. That's all we want from these types of events. So once again, incredibly important to be engaged in that space.
Yeah, nothing like face-to-face, is there? Rigsy, do you want to talk about that from a hire pool perspective?
Yeah, look, it's hugely important for us, and I put a lot of time and effort into it as well. You know, if you're not there and you're not seen, you're not in the discussion, and you can be left behind very, very quickly. You know, I have found that loyalty is hard earned but easily lost. So you've got to be, you know, it's got to be a win-win for both parties. And being at these events and interacting with people is not that sell type of you know, narrative all the time. It's just people connecting, and you know, I'm massive on that sort of stuff. So we like to go where our you know, NZIOB, we don't put events on as such. We like partnering with people because they know their customer base or their membership base. And so we go there. We're not trying to rewrite the books for them. They know what works for them. And we like to show our support, for the industry. That's first and foremost. And because the collective group are all on the same page, you know, and you don't try and hijack it. I might try and elevate the Highpool narrative sometimes, but it's more about if you're in the same room and having great conversations, and people always look good out of high vis sometimes as well, and getting dressed up and, you know, putting your number ones on. That's always a great time. But not everybody goes golfing, and not everyone goes fishing or bowls, you know, so these other events or conferences. So there's many hats you have to wear. There's not just a stock standard formula. And I think it comes across, you can tell people who don't want to be there. And that's it, you know, being authentic. And Mike and I, we always have a laugh, and we see each other at a number of different events and stuff. And you can tell the people who enjoy them and the other ones who are literally, they're looking at their watch and they can't wait to go because they've just go, oh, I'm here because I've been told to be here. Whereas I actually look forward to these events.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I forgot. And sorry, Rigsy, Rigsy, I forgot to mention one of our biggest social events, and it's a fun event, and that's our quiz nights, mate, and through NZIOB. And Wellington always seems to take the cake. So for everyone out there listening, if you've got the opportunity for the NZIOB quiz night, you've got to do so. Christchurch and Auckland need to lift your games, all right, and get the numbers up, because I think Wellington has always kicked butt in this space. But that event, that is that's a fun event, and that's a good social fun event for the industry. And so it's not so much the learn, it's that we're actually we are social creatures, you know, and we do want to connect and see other businesses and admittedly try and kick their butts in the quiz nights and stuff, or any event that we're at, but and but it's just that social connection, you know, and to have a bit of fun. And I think they came to their fore post COVID when everyone was trying to reconnect again, you know. So the people there, they change businesses. You see them one year and there was someone, and then there was someone else, but they're still there in the industry. So they may not, you know, it may not be static in that space in terms of what business they're engaged with, but they're still attending these industry-wide events, and the connections start to grow, you know, so they're really important.
Having that variety of interactions, isn't it? A little bit like your social media, where you don't want everything to be formal and look at what I've done. You want to build some relationships and authentic, you know.
Yeah, very much so. You gotta put a physical to the actual, put it to practice what you preach.
You learn a lot about people at a quiz night.
Yeah,
Yeah, you do. You certainly do.
Yeah. Should we talk about
the quiz nights that Mike and the team put on? They are great. So I've been lucky. I've been hosting quizzes for 25 years. Same jokes for the majority have been and seen me a number of times. I love it. It's a great networking thing. You can get a group of 8 strangers be put together. Then they have to work out, you know, oh, hey, I'm good at sport and games. I'm great at geography, whatever it may be. It was a very diverse type of scenario from Auckland to Wellington to Christchurch with the 3 quizzes that I did for NZIOB last year. Christchurch was a bit more of that pub quiz feel, where Wellington was more of the New Zealand quiz champs type of thing. But there's dress up, there's I like walking around or walking around the room when I'm asking the questions. And I love when I hear 2 people sort of having a disagreement going, oh, it's definitely the 80s, no, it's definitely the 70s, and you can see this dynamic, and oh no, I love it. It's great.
Sounds like we all need to sign up for the next quiz night.
Oh yeah, watch this space coming soon.
Wellington always sells out. You need to come on, Auckland, come on, Canterbury.
Yeah.
Let's talk sponsorship, and let's talk about aligning sponsorship with goals, with organisation goals. Brent, let's start with you on that, eh?
Yeah, so as I said before, I was a sales manager in our northern region for close to a decade. And so what we found was we've got my new role as a BDM for partnerships, nationwide role. It's number one to have that consistency across our 3 regions, because, what I was doing in our northern region may slightly different to what they do in the central region and then in the southern region as well. So have that consistency across the board, because we do a lot with civil, and then we do a lot with construction. So that's why we've partnered with NZIOB, and I've been involved with NZIOB for well over 10 years now, in different ways, shape, and forms. So we want to be seen at that table. And the involvement changes too. It could be a sponsor of a category, or everyone loves the port and cheese that we do at the national awards. But then different regions have different golf days or fishing days or whatever it may be. And I like being involved with that sort of stuff, because different people come to different events. And if you just sort of park your wagon in one, you may miss a whole different sector at the other events and stuff. So that's why we like to be seen at those, a wide range of stuff. I think Next Gen will be definitely something for us to have a bit of a look at as well. I like that, because obviously it's at the National Awards, but I like that progression. I'm an example of it. Started as a TSS, became a sales manager, and moved on to the next thing. So having that succession, so there is a wide range of events, and that's why I like the NZIOB, because it's bowls one week, and then next week it's golf, and then there's lighthearted moments like we're doing right now. There's a mixture of different things.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Mike, do you want to talk to that?
Yeah, so in terms of sponsorships and in terms of national groups, we're heavily engaged. From ADNZ, Architectural Designers New Zealand, the NZIA, New Zealand Institute of Building Surveyors, New Zealand Institute of Building, are just some of the national sponsorships that we're aligned with strategically. From the NZIOB, that's our big commercial stuff. That's and to a degree down into some residential space and some of the bigger residential construction businesses. ADNZ is across the board in terms of design, likewise with NZIA with high-level architecture, and the New Zealand Institute of Building Surveyors, where they're going in and they're engaged in different levels of construction sector, from either post-construction issue or new construction project, be it Ministry of Education and things like that. So there's quite a broad mix, and there's not just one organisation. I think you're right, Rigsy, that you can't just be in one space. You need to be, if you're in the construction sector, it is very broad, and you need to be tapping into multitude of organizations and associations to stay connected as broadly as you possibly can. New Zealand's a very small country, and if bad news travels fast in this country, and you need to be across platforms to deal with any matter that may be arising, and I think and I don't think it's just New Zealand in this space, in terms of good news stories they don't last. They tend to be brushed off. Everyone wants doom and gloom, but if in terms of the good news stories, that's how we need to get that across the industry more broadly and more consistently. And by our sponsorships across the space are incredibly important to ensure that we've got lots of touch points, because it's such a diverse sector. And there's probably a couple of sponsorships that we will be looking at in the future as well. Where I think we're not treading at the moment, and they'll come to the fore. Riggsy, you were spot on before. The one of our major sponsorships is with NZIB with the Next Gen. We sponsor the Next Gen Awards, and it's so cool seeing that next gen, because that's where we were, Riggsy, one previously, as we most were, looking for what's the future look like, and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I remember at last year's awards, sitting there prior to the awards, we sit down with all the next gens that have got to the finalists, and they're all nervous as buggery. This is the biggest event. This is the biggest thing that's actually happened to them outside of probably their capping out of varsity. This is the ultimate in peer pressure. They're sitting there a bit clammy and a bit nervous and stuff, and so we sit there and have a couple of settlers at the nearest bar and have a bit of a chinwag about where they're at and what they're looking forward to achieving and stuff. And it was pretty impressive when you start to see, in the months after the Next Gen Awards, the connections they potentially made at that Next Gen Awards, or those in the industry are now aware of those high flyers or the next geners, and they get tapped, and they move on to something else, and they rapidly rise. So that's that interaction at those practical and physical events, which is really, really amazing. And I saw some posts pop up the other day about one of them, and moved into a new role, and flying. So it's pretty cool.
I might just jump in there also. I think we also do sponsorship for non-industry events as well too. So a big sponsorship that we do is with the Westpac Rescue helicopter. Because there was a personal story back in the day, and that's how Highpool got involved. And then also with sustainability and sustainable coastlines. So we like the sort of stuff that, it's not purely an industry type of thing, but we want to be, it's close to us, and we like to be involved with that. And then even small community groups reach out to us for assistance for, not sponsoring the local under-6 rugby league team, but they're planting some trees somewhere, or they're doing a working bee on something, and we've got that equipment that can assist with that, and it's not it's just being involved and looking after our local community up and down the country.
Being a responsible organisation.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how, so we're out there, we're talking to these people, we've sponsorships, we've got industry events. These people that you meet, how are you turning those into ambassadors for your businesses? Let's start with you, Riggsy.
Yeah, so I what we talked about the other day, and I'm big about this, as I say, you want to be authentic. It's not about that brand slapping type of thing, but highlighting the achievements of others, that's always great. We're very lucky at Highpool. We do have a lot of long-serving staff. I think even Mike mentioned 35 years. It's funny, as he mentioned 35 years, he sort of pulled up his flash new Garmin watch, and I think, well, that might have been a gift or something. Not quite the gold watch just yet.
No.
But I think
that was my kids. Sorry, Riggsy. That was my kids. That was my kids' Christmas present. They thought Dad needed a digital watch. He needed. I generally don't wear a watch, so there's Well,
to be fair, it's a GPS in there, so in case you go walkabout, they can find you. So I think we've recognizing success or achievement, be it a milestone like that. We've got a pretty big milestone coming up. We celebrated 20 years as a principal sponsor of the Civil Contractors Association, CCNZ. So I think those big things, make a bit of noise about it. Blow your trumpet. It's okay to do that on those big milestones, because I think sometimes, especially as New Zealanders, we like to dial that down a little bit. But I think sometimes it's a great to be proud of yourself, to say, hey, we've been doing this for XYZ, or this person's been involved. I have noticed a bit of a trend. I'm following other groups or industries posts that they do, and they'll mention that, hey, we've been doing this for XYZ, or association with it, or John's just achieved 40 years. It's great. I love that sort of stuff. So yeah, but it's got to be, that organic type of thing, not just rolling out Ted out of the workshop to go, well, Ted's been here 3 weeks now. Well,
And
Yeah.
it's also about celebrating, others in the industry, not just your own organisation, isn't it? But celebrating others that are doing, similar kinds of things. What are your thoughts on that, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, we sit there. I mean, one of the things we do, back to the social media space, is when I've started to collab. So I'll get people that we're aligned with on a particular project, and I'll add them as a collaborator into these posts, so they're a bit more engaged. So they actually see what we're doing, and they can actually comment and add into that content with other things. So it builds a bit of a story as well. So in terms of the ambassadors for that, that's one of the ways that we try to connect and get closer to a lot of these clients and supporters of our business. We do have an official brand ambassador as well, and that's Mr. Pete Wolfcamp. So I do a little bit of radio with Wolfie. You might hear me with my dulcet tones on a Sunday morning. I've strategically asked them in the last couple of years not to book my radio shows after a big All Black Test match, the Northern Hemisphere, because I'm definitely a lot croaky and a lot more dulcet. So Wolfie's a good one around that space for us as well, in terms of talking to the general consumer and equally the construction sector. And we've got a couple of projects coming up with him shortly, which should be quite interesting. I'll have Wolfie putting a bit of mud on a bit of plaster on a big outdoor table coming up shortly, which will be interesting to see how much goes on the table. It's a horizontal service, so it should be pretty safe. But the other ambassadors that we have and that I try to promote strongly are our contractors. So the people that are actually doing the work, because the craft of what our business does in terms of exterior plastering or interior specialist finishes is a craft. And it's a skilled craft that people see this whiz bang stuff that we do in terms of these beautiful properties and the finishes. And it's so common for people to just ring up and go, can I buy some of that stuff and can I do it myself? Because their expectation is they can achieve the same. And it's not always the case, as you can imagine. And so one of the big ones for me is promoting the contractor network. They've got years of experience in what they do, and if we don't promote that as this craft and a skill, it'll be lost, and it'll be a tragedy, because not everything can be made by machine, and so the ambassadors on a daily basis are our contractors, talking to their clients, talking to the builders, talking to the people at the coal face. So every post that we do and every publication that I bring out, so we're bringing out a new artisan interiors book for 2025, and where possible, there's projects from across the country, and we say who the plasterer was, who the contractor was, who the builder, who the architect, and it's in print as well. So those are the people that we want to brag about as well, because they are our champions out there. I mean, products are only half the battle. Riggsy, you can hire a chainsaw, but if I don't know how to flick the right switch or pull the choke, it won't work. So if you've got the best materials, but if you don't have the skilled craftsmen and people operating in the business space, it'll be a challenge. So they're integral to the business. Like any business, we're in the business of people as well. So you get the right people on board, and they'll do an amazing job, and they're proud of it. I have contractors, they drive around, oh, come and have a look at this job, and that might be 5 years old, but they're still talking about it. It's crazy good.
I've never met a project manager who's never been proud of their work.
Hey,
They love it, and it's great.
Yep.
you talk about, you know, professionals, watching, because we're part with CCNZ, and they have the National Excavator Championships, and watching these guys and girls operate these 14-ton machines, they're artists. And I had to jump in a little 1.8-ton digger the other day, and I'm more of a butcher than an artist, let me tell you. So it's amazing to watch them just utilize these great machines, and you watch it, and it looks so easy, and you get in there, and it looks like I was jumping in the back of a bucking bronco. This bloody machine was going all over the show. So no, it gives you a greater appreciation of it too.
100%.
Yeah, and what interesting on that craft side of things in the trade, we've got Auckland Design Week coming up in March, and it's massive. It's across Auckland, and there's a number of events there. So please, if you're in the construction sector, obviously in design sector, please get engaged with Auckland Design Week. One of the things we're doing there this year, and I spoke with a couple of contractors, and they're heavily engaged in this space, and they say, why don't we do some walls and we'll actually physically show these guys how we create these finishes. So we're going to be doing practical demonstrations of plastering, and to us, and we go back to what we spoke about earlier, sometimes what we think is common and just status quo could be really damn interesting to people that don't always get to see this stuff happening. So we're going to be showing some of our specialist finishes and how they're applied and all that sort of stuff, which is going to be quite cool. So yeah, so everyone keep that on your radar. Auckland Design Week coming up.
That sounds fantastic. And that's a really nice connection to my last question, which is how are you guys using case studies of talking about your projects, talking about the success of your companies and how your product works? So we know what you're doing, but how are you preparing these case studies and getting them out to your audience?
So from my side of things, what we do is we create, we have project profiles. So, and they normally sit on our website. So from the social media perspective, that's the quick snap of that particular project. And then we do project profiles, which goes a bit deeper. And I have some content writers that help me write that type of content for those particular projects. And equally, talk to the architects and sometimes the homeowners about what's hot and what's not, and what they love about our stuff. So they sit generally all on our website. So they're just on projects, which is it's just a nice linkage to reinforce and a bigger picture of individual projects with a few more images and a bit more content. One of the other ways as well is I'm just working on an influencer space that's coming up. We've done a couple of projects with a couple of influencers around this remedial renovation. What can we do? What we've done, even though they might have had professional contractors come in to do the work, they were still connected in terms of how that was all put together and what the end results were and stuff. So getting that type of stuff is the next sort of stage that we're working at the moment. And I know a lot of businesses do engage in that space. You've got to pick the right projects and the right people, though, and but it gives it a very down to earth feel about your products and a trusting sense as well, So that's what we do around that project profile stuff.
Very interesting. Thank you. What about you, Riggsy?
Yeah, we engage with our small to medium clients and right up to our big tier ones, and they will do some on-piece points about their current projects and how Hirepool can assist with them. And sometimes it's not just because we've got a unit that can go there. If issues arise and we've got, things happened and we were able to come to the rescue or whatever it may be, because I think Mike brought it up earlier, what we think is important, sometimes the contractor is going, no, it's not because of that, it was because of this. We had an issue when we were able to fix it, and it saved us downtime, and downtime is money. So we utilize that. And that's generally quite good because they can talk about their own work and how Hirepool integrates with that. We do have camera points or pieces to camera, which is literally to step by step to, some people, when they come in at a point of sale and to get a chainsaw, oh, do you know how this works? Yeah, I'm okay. And then they go home and they go, I have no idea how this works, because they're very embarrassed at the point of sale. So we have some step-by-step sort of product guides, and it's, it's like baking a cake sometimes. Turn this on, flick this on, do that, do that. So, and people learn and take information in various different ways. Like if I was to send an email to my missus, everything has to be in the subject line because she doesn't read the body of the email as such. So I was like, look here or do this. Other people they can hear it once and they're an expert on it. Myself, watch me try and do a flat pack thing. I have to go through each line of stuff. It doesn't come organically for me. So you've got to have different ways of sharing information online because different people take in information in different ways. So and finding that little sweet spot, we use influencers, we've done other sort of collaborations and stuff. So yeah, you just can't be down the narrow hallway. You've got to spread yourself too.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I'm gonna it's 10:16, so we're a minute over time, and I know Chloe's gonna pop up. Yeah, there she is. But I just want to say thanks to you two. You've been amazing. I've actually learned a lot today. So yeah, really good session. Chloe.
Thanks, Kirsten.
Yeah, thanks, Kirsten.
And yeah, thank you guys. It was really interesting to hear like how we help you and how that works both ways. We are obviously always looking for cool, fun, new ideas around events and that next gen offering, which I'm really excited about being a part of again this year. Thank you everybody for watching in. We will have this recording on our resources page of our website. And don't forget to book your tickets for Digicom 25, which will be on March 20th in Auckland, where you can see some of these faces and have a little chat for yourself. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Bring your chainsaw, Riggsy.
See you, team. Thank you.
See you, team.
Thanks.